Good afternoon and welcome to Parents Love Your Children. I'm your host, Toro Suddeth, my co-host, Dr. Charlotta Suddeth. And once again, we have Miss Giggly Kalia Pearl in the studio with us today, who is going to share us the reading story. How are you doing today, Kalia? Seems like you're having a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a lot of giggles in you. I wonder why. You're no longer in school,
Yeah.
so you're getting plenty of rest.
Yes.
Getting ready for the summer. What are some of the things that you want to do over the summer break?
Swimming
And that's it?
and relax.
Oh. Number one agenda that I have for you is to clean your room. All right, so the story that we're going to read is entitled
Money Trouble by Bill Cosby.
Okay, we'll take it away.
Hello, friend. My name is Little Bill, and I am going to be famous. I'll tell you why. Do you want to know what I like to do? I like to look at the night sky. I do. Way out there, way past Pluto, is the Oort cloud. It looks like a cloud because it is made up of billions of comets. Billions.
My teacher, Miss Murray, said so. She said maybe one day one of those comets will pull away from the Oort cloud. It will travel through space toward the sun. And one day, when I'm looking up at the sky, I'll see that comet, and maybe I'll be the first person ever to see that comet.
I'll run and call the people who give names to comets. I'll tell them my name and what I saw. They will say, "Congratulations," and they'll name it Comet Little Bill. I'll be famous, yes, but first I need a telescope.
Chapter 2. I was shooting hoops in the driveway. Miss Hernandez, our mail carrier, came by. "I'll take it, Miss Hernandez," I said. There were lots and lots of letters from Mom and Dad. I also saw a magazine from my brother, Bobby, and some catalogs.
What on the back of a catalog I saw what I wanted, a telescope. There was one big problem. It cost $100. Mom and Dad would never give me $100. There was only one thing for me to do. I had to get the money myself. I already had some money in my football bank. Some of the money was from Aunt Martha. She gave me $1 when she came for a visit. Spend it wisely," she said. Some of the money was from Uncle Joe. "Enjoy it," he said. Some of the money was from the Tooth Fairy.
I opened a little door on the back and shook it. All the dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies dropped out. An old stick of gum fell out too. I counted $34 bills, 21 quarters, 53 dimes, 39 nickels, 137 pennies, and one old stick of gum. I added all the dollars and quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. It took a long time. I had the total amount of $47.87. I only needed $52.13 more, and I could buy my telescope. I only needed $52.13. I could be famous.
Chapter 3. On Saturday morning, I dressed quickly. I ran to the kitchen. "What's the rush?" Dad asked. "I have to get a job," I said. Dad laughed. "What else is new?" My father started to get cereal from the cabinet. "Wait," I said. "Wait, what?" Dad said. I'll get breakfast for you," I said. Dad closed the cabinet door. "Well, thank you. How much will you pay me for getting your breakfast?" "What?" Dad said. Dad, I need a job." Dad opened the cabinet door again. I'll get my own cereal. Thank you, Dad said.
I poured myself some cereal too. Dad, I asked, when you were my age, what did you do to make money? Dad leaned back in his chair. He looked up at the ceiling and smiled. Dad liked to think about the days when he was a boy. Well, I used to deliver papers, he said, but that was when I was older.
I used to collect empty bottles. I returned them to the store for the deposits, and I used to wash cars. Wash cars? What a great idea, I said. I started to run out of the house. Wait, Dad, said Dad. Your first job today is to put your spoon and bowl into the dishwasher. Free of charge.
Our neighbor, Mrs. Rizzo, lived by herself. She was happy I offered to wash the car. I usually take it to the car wash, she said, but I hope you'll do a better job. I helped my father wash his car many times, so I know what to do. I wet the car with the hose, then I filled a bucket with soapy water.
I washed every part, the doors, the hood, and the trunk, the bumpers, the lights, even the wheels. And the hood caps, I had to jump up to reach the high parts. Then I carried out Miss Rizzo's vacuum cleaner and vacuumed everything inside. I even vacuumed inside the trunk.
Mrs. Rizzo gave me rags for drying the car. I was tired, but the car looked pretty good. It looks good, Mrs. Rizzo said. Now you wax it. Wax? Waxing was even harder than washing. I put the wax on the car, then I rubbed and I rubbed and I rubbed. I had waxed half the car when Miss Rizzo gave me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch.
I finally finished waxing the car, and Miss Rizzo gave me $5. Only $5? I was hoping for more. I should have set a price before starting. Andrew and Jose walked by with a basketball. Do you want to shoot some hoops? Andrew asked. I wanted to play, but I was too tired. Later, I said, and I walked into my house. The clock said 3:15. I had worked almost all day, and I still needed $47.13.
Chapter 4. A soda can was on the table. I read the side of the label, 5 cents deposit. I grabbed the can. Dad's voice boomed. Hey, I'm drinking that. Sorry, Dad, I said. I waited for him to finish so I could have that can. You know, my father is the slowest soda drinker in the world.
You need a haircut, Mom said. Here's $10. I want you to go to Mr. Yoshi and get your haircut right now. But I have work to do. I said, haircut first, work second, said Dad. Dad put his empty can in a big plastic bag ready for me. Ready to start my next job? I went out the door collecting bottles and cans. Had to be easier than washing cars, but I had to get a haircut first.
On the way to Mr. Yoshi's shop, I passed a schoolyard. I was in luck. A soda can laid next to the goal on the soccer field. I picked it up. That's 5 cents, I said to myself. I searched the rest of the field and found more cans.
I saw another can to a bush. I ran to get it. Zoom! It was gone behind the bush. Was a boy. He held 2 big bags. He must have been 100 cans. I ran to the playground to look for cans there. The boy ran to the handball courts. I found one can. The boy found a can too. We both ran to the trash basket. I got there first. I got to see the boy up close. His clothes were dirty and torn. His shoes were worn down and had holes. His eyes were kind of sad, but they moved faster looking for more cans. That boy needed the cans more than I did. I left my cans next to the trash bucket and walked away.
I walked over to the basketball court. Andrew, Jose, Michael, and Puesha were there. Are you ready to play? Andrew said I still wanted to play, but I was supposed to get a haircut, and I still needed $47.13. Then I smiled. I had a great idea. Who knows how to cut hair? I do, said Andrew. I give you $10 to cut mine, I said. I give you $2 to cut mine, I said. I thought that I could spend $2 on my haircut and keep $8 for my telescope.
We all went over to Andrew's house. We crowded into his bathroom. I couldn't even see the mirror. Fushia, Michael, and Jose kept telling Andrew things like, it's lopsided, or take a little more off over here.
Andrew cut and cut. When he was done, I looked at it. Michael and Jose, I read the bad news on their faces. I was afraid to look in the mirror. You don't have to pay me, Andrew said. I didn't have to look in the mirror. I knew that I had a very ugly haircut.
Chapter 5. First, Mom and Dad looked mad. Grandmother Alice the Great laughed. Alice the Great laughed at me. I wish they would stop laughing to be mad again. When Bobby came home, he laughed too. Mr. Yoshi is closed tomorrow, Bobby said. You'll have to go to church with that ugly hairdo. Does Mr. Yoshi open his shop before school on Monday? I asked. I'm afraid not, Mom said. You'll have to go to school, then go to see Mr. Yoshi at 3 o'clock.
I wear a hat all day, even in church, I said. Dad came to the rescue. He was holding clippers Dad shaved off that was left of my hair. I looked in the mirror like it. I like it, I said. Everyone cheered. On Monday, the kids in school seemed to like my new haircut. While they were looking at me, I was looking at a sign for our food drive. Our school was collecting food for poor people. Many people had bigger money troubles than mine. People liked the boy who collected cans. After school, I took the money from Mrs. Rizzo and the money from the bank. I went to the store and bought noodles, beans, and soup for the food drive. I still want to be famous. I still want to have a comet named after me. But first, I want everyone to have food. And that's the end of our story. And we'll be right back with more parent tips.
I thought I was too old.
I thought I was too young.
I didn't think I had what it takes.
How would I find the time? I figured I'd get around
So
to
we
it
took
one
all his
day.
money and gave it
Too
to
expensive.
the poor food bank.
Then one day I sat down at the piano.
Drums,
You got extra
pie
questions?
steaks.
Ukulele.
I went into a music store and tried
Ask
some
me
percussion.
Tried a clarinet.
Sax.
And I learned a few simple notes.
Simple, cool, simple rhythms. Before I knew it,
I could actually play a song. A pretty simple one, but I did it. Me. I couldn't believe it.
Why make excuses when you can make music?
Why wait?
Just play. This message brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
And we're back to Parents Love Your Children. I'm your host, Toro Suddeth, my co-host, Dr. Charlotta Suddeth. And we have Miss Kalia in the studio reading our story. Thank you. It's entitled,
Bill Money Troubles by Bill Cosby.
and it's one of our scholastic books, and one of the favorite books that I also like to read is Bill Cosby. He's one of my favorites. But in the inside it says, "Dear parents, one of the best ways children learn about the value and significance of money is through regular saving. Even small children appreciate the purpose of saving when they can buy toys with money from their piggy banks. Eventually, children realize that working brings in money to reinforce the important features of the real world. Some parents pay young children to do chores around the house as well as give them an allowance. Many parents, to discourage materialism, also encourage their children to donate some small amount of their savings to a good cause. Older children like little Bill find they can also earn money through jobs outside the family. In many troubles, little Bill is inspired to buy a telescope after learning about astronomy in school. Not in most, but said, because he has suddenly become a serious scholar. Instead, he dreams of becoming famous. He had discovered a new comet, and it will be named after him. The telescope he wants cost $100. He has $47.87 in his bank. To start earning the rest, he washes a neighbor's car. Then he collects cans and bottles until he noticed another boy, obviously poor, also out scavenging. Little Bill leaves his own cans where the other boy will find them. Little Bill has realized something important: other people may need money more than he does. He takes this lesson further by dropping the telescope idea, donating all his savings to the school food drive for the poor, and becoming famous for contribution the most food. Through his unselfish acts, Little Bill has learned that giving to others can be more satisfying than acquiring a possession we can do without. And he has taken an important step toward understanding what it's meant to be a part of a community. So instead of you always asking money from us, what can you do?
I could donate to the poor.
Right, yeah, he took all the rest of his savings and he donated it to the food drive. Because he found someone who was in more need than he was.
Yep.
So what did you think of that?
I thought of it was kind and yeah.
Okay, so in our parent tips today, it is coming from, well, technology is really taking over, huh? Okay, selfgrowth.com. In the modern age of information, reading truly is a fundamental survival skill. Here I will share 10 tips that anyone can use to improve their reading skills. Number one, you don't have to be a great reader to get the point. Some people read fast and remember everything. Others read slowly and take a couple of times to get all the information. It doesn't matter really, so long as when you read, you get the information that you are seeking. Number two, know why that you are reading. Why are you reading? Are you reading for entertainment or to learn something?
Entertainment.
You're not reading to learn something?
Yeah.
I know you're not. Decide why you're reading before you start, and you'll greatly improve your comprehension and your enjoyment. So you are reading for strictly entertainment?
No.
I'm just going by what you said.
To learn.
You don't need to read everything. Not every magazine, letter, and email that you receive contains the information you need. In fact, most of it is simply junk. Throw it away. Hit the delete key. Just doing this will double the amount of time you have available to read. You don't need to read all of what you do read. Do you read every article of every magazine, every chapter of every book? If so, you're probably spending a lot of time reading stuff that you don't need. Be choosy. Select the chapters and articles that are important and ignore the rest. I read probably everything.
Yeah, you do.
My emails are just terrible, but I read them all. Okay, and we can scan it before we read it. Did you know that?
Scan
A book. or a magazine.
It usually tells you on the back.
There you go. Look at the table of contents, index, topic headers, photo, captions. These will help you determine if you have a real interest in this reading and what information that you're likely to get out from it. So when you looked at Little Bill's money trouble, what did that tell you?
It told me that he was going to buy something and he needed more money to buy it.
So you had already got the meaning of the story by looking at the front page, and that grabbed your attention to want to read.
Yep.
Okay. So that's good. Reading, you can't read everything all at once and wouldn't want to. If it's important, read it now. If it's not, let it wait. So optimize your reading environment. You'll read faster and comprehend more if you read in an environment that's comfortable for you. Once you start, don't stop. Read each item straight through. If you finish and have questions, go back and reread the pertinent sections. If you don't have questions, you got what you needed and you're ready to move on. So to say that if you didn't have any questions about what you're reading, then you're pretty much ready to go on to something else. So when you read, do you have questions about the stories that you read, or you pretty much understand it?
Yeah, if it's a mystery and it leaves you with a question like, I wonder if this happens or this happens.
But some stories that you just pick up and can read and move on with it, right?
Yep.
So number 9 tips tell us to focus. And I know sometimes it can be hard to focus in reading. So remember, you're reading with a purpose, so focus on that purpose and the material. If you lose interest or keep losing your place, take a break or read something else. You can keep track of where you are by following along with your hand. This simple technique helps you focus and increase your concentration. So say sometimes we're reading, we use our, what is this, pointer
Finger.
to get us back on track. Because, sometimes you lose your spot and you find out like, oh yeah, I was right here. It's okay to continue to use your pointer finger to get you back on track. I like that tip. Number 10, practice. The more you read, the better reader you'll become, and smarter too. So you feed your mind by reading material. So some material we do pick up and it's not any good, but sometimes when we pick up a lot of books, like the number 1 money trouble is a good idea, because we are not only teaching ourselves to save in the piggy bank, but it's also teaching us to, support something else that will better help someone else, like the food bank. So when you are reading, how do you feel?
Happy?
And that makes you want to continue to read?
Yep.
Do you find reading easy or hard?
It depends what book it is.
It depends on the book. Okay. So that's good, because I know that sometimes we can get books that are just too much. So are you planning on reading good books for the summer? I mean, I got you rolling now. We're kicking off the summer with you, and we're getting reading. We have to keep on reading, because reading builds up on another reading level.
Yep.
So you're completing what grade?
5th.
So all that 5th grade reading takes you to the next grade level, 6th grade. Are you getting excited about 6th grade?
No.
Why not?
I think it's hard.
Well, yes and no. All the things that you learn builds on to the next grade level. So everything that you learn, you move it on to the next building, next grade level. Because a lot of things you have to remember, your combination. What else?
Sometimes people remember their schedule.
Oh, you gotta remember your school schedule. That's important. You gotta keep that going. So that comes from selfgrowth.com. 10 tips to improve your reading skills. That's the modern age of information. Reading truly is a fundamental survival skill. And we just shared with you the 10 tips of being able to continue on in your reading skills, and also how to continue to improve our reading skills is by selfgrowth.com. So you can check that out. And also you can read, or I don't know, Bill Cosby, that's just one of my favorites. We can always keep that in your personal library. Little Bill wants to discover a comet and be famous, but first he needs a telescope, but it costs $100.
Where will little Bill find that much money?
By trying to collect cans.
Yeah.
So read at a level slightly lower than what you understand. You should not have to look up a lot of words. It's okay to look up a few words. Make reading a ritual. Ritual means a continuous. Choose a time and place to read every day or a week. Commit to that reading time, and as if it was your job. So if you know that you have to read every time you get out of school at 3:30 p.m., you're going to make sure that you sit down and get somewhere to read, correct?
Yep.
Understanding what you'll be tested on, if you're working on your reading skills for a particular test, make sure to learn about the test. There may be a specific format, such as advertisement, that you have to read in the test. So visualize what you're reading. Just sit down and look at it. Some people try to imagine that they're reading a movie or how to do a video. Didn't know that, did you?
No.
Did I? Listen and read, find podcasts or videos that has transcripts and read along silently with them. You can also read out loud with the recording. Huh. Do you have that?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. Relate what you read to your own personal life. So when you're reading Little Bill, this could be to your own. Are you doing this?
Nope.
You don't save any money in your piggy bank?
Not my piggy bank, but my wallet.
So relate that reading to your own personal life. How does this reading apply to you? Interesting. So the books that we read could be on what you're doing. So anything else you want to give a shout out before we leave? Congratulations to Caleb.
Yeah.
He is out of there. He's out of East High. Remember, reading unlocks the doors to our future, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Parents, love your children. Have a good day.
Bye.
We're being recorded. You was making all those faces on the mic. I just wanted to tell you to stop, but I didn't.